America's Next Top Model might just be the most iconic reality franchise to ever grace the small screen. With a mega famous host, jaw-dropping challenges, and plenty of over-the-top drama, this competition modeling show has it all. But not everything is what it seems on ANTM. Here's the dish on the false information you can definitely stop believing.
You want to be on top?
As the title of the show would imply, America's Next Top Model is all about the search for the next hot model to take the fashion world by storm. After all, the grand prize for each cycle is an industry modeling contract on top of other perks. But that doesn't mean it's easy for former contestants to find fame after the show. As Cycle 3 contestant Yaya DaCosta revealed, a bad reputation followed her after the cameras wrapped. She told Complex, "There was such a stigma in Hollywood, and people don't realize that. The very directors and writers that were hiring me had just gotten their shows denied by a network because a new reality show was taking up that time slot, so the stigma didn't just have to do with being a model. It was reality TV in general. You didn't talk about it. It wasn't on your resume."
They just think it's a lot easier than it is, and it's not. It's hard, it takes a lot of grinding, and I hibernated for a long time.
OG host Tyra Banks and the judges panel have always thrown a wide net as far as diversity. But that doesn't mean the show itself has always featured the same sorts of faces. In fact, it wasn't until 2018 that the show slightly more regularly featured plus-size contestants, women of color, and even an older model. At the time, Banks said via Us Weekly, "America's Next Top Model has changed the definition of beauty and empowered women when they needed it most. We celebrate the beauty in all of us, all shapes, all sizes, and all colors. The fight continues to show that you are beautiful." Even though the show didn't exactly portray it, Banks had an aspirational view of the model lineup throughout the show's run, telling Vulture, "I had what we called at the time a plus-size girl. Now they're calling them curvy girls. I had transgender girls. All these things that weren't necessarily cool or in the mainstream when we did it."
Trans people work so hard to build yourself up as a person you feel that you've always been.
But as Mike pointed out, that promise of inclusivity has never really become reality on the show. Even during the most diverse season of the show in 2018, production eliminated almost all of the women of color and plus-size contestants before the top 14. As one of the most successful supermodels of all time, it's no wonder that Banks was the host of America's Top Model for so long.
It was an out-of-body experience. She was like a real-life Barbie doll.
Of course, someone so immersed in the modeling industry would surely have great pointers for a group of contestants just starting out, right? Well, it turns out that, for at least one former contestant, Banks' mentoring style was a lot harsher than it appeared. Former top model Tiffany Richardson detailed her experience, telling BuzzFeed, "Every time I did something wrong, I'd shut down a little bit more, and it just got to the point where I was over it. I felt like we were just there to be humiliated. It was like, what the f else could we do to them?"
I have a new strategy. I'm being Tiffany. They can either love it or hate me for it.
Richardson also claimed that, though it was edited out of the show, there was a point when Banks had yelled at her, allegedly telling her, quote, "Go back to your house and sleep on your mattress on the floor with your baby."
It's really hard.
But it's not completely true to think that Banks doesn't care at all about the contestants on the show. During one of the most iconic moments from the series, in 2005, Banks got extremely mad at Richardson, leading to the iconic "We were rooting for you" gif we all know and love.
When my mother yells at this, it's because she loves me. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
But all Banks was feeling in that moment was love. She told BuzzFeed News, "It was such an emotional, visceral moment for me. I had so much love for this girl. It can be very harsh, but the real industry is harsher." As much as reality shows like to maintain the front that they are completely real and unscripted, we all know not many actually are. While there might not be traditional scripts like sitcoms or movies, producers will often push contestants in certain directions and even stir up the drama so viewers stay tuned in. Just take The Bachelor, for example. But on America's Next Top Model, there was definitely no script. In fact, Cycle 9 contestant Sarah Hartshorn claimed there was enough conflict for the show on its own, telling Bustle, "They didn't need a script because they knew what we were going to do before we did. And that was drama enough. Everybody's a sometimes. Now imagine the second you feel less than awesome, there's a camera 2 inches from your face."
Lisa is insecure. It's kind of annoying. Like,
Debbie Downer.
While America's Next Top Model and Banks in particular like to operate under the impression that the show has been progressive, that isn't exactly true. In fact, the show hasn't really done too much to change the modeling industry's views on size, despite Banks' claims that they have. Banks told BuzzFeed News, "I do feel like girls everywhere either feel better about themselves or are recognizing certain things that aren't like the stereotype as beautiful. I think Top Model has a lot to do with that, and I think it's worldwide." But as BuzzFeed News pointed out, there is no real-world evidence of this. Even in 2016, curvy model Ashley Graham claimed designers had difficulty dressing her for the cover of British Vogue, according to National Post.
Women of all shapes and sizes, ages, and ethnicities are beautiful.
The modeling industry may be becoming more diverse, but as far as we can tell, ANTM has nothing to do with that. Though Banks has long been the host and head judge of the show, she hasn't always loved the job. Banks even claimed that she almost left the show back in 2007, telling Entertainment Weekly, "Many years ago, I was stressed with starting new businesses. I went to my lawyer and I was like, you know what? I'm ready to bring someone else in. I was so tired. But I was like, fine, I'll just continue."
Sorry but not sorry, but we're about to throw you straight into the deep end.
When she handed the reins over to Rita Ora for Cycle 23, she said it was, quote, "something that's been on the tip of my fingers for so long, so it wasn't necessarily difficult. It was actually exciting." Just because a person's landed a reality show and there are cameras around at all times doesn't necessarily mean they'll be on their best behavior. And if you watch any reality TV, you know the opposite is largely true. And that's what makes it so fun to watch. But on America's Next Top Model, bad behavior took on a whole new meaning. According to TMZ, back in Cycle 10, contestants got into some hot water for causing $500,000 worth of damage to a Manhattan loft in which they were staying. Sources revealed to the outlet, the place was trashed, and the management company has had serious problems with their not-so-model neighbors.
It was so bad.
One of the downsides to being on a reality show is that you lose a lot of personal freedoms, from having to live with other contestants to not being able to see your own family and friends while filming. There are a lot of negative aspects to aspiring toward reality stardom. But one thing you can stop thinking about when it comes to America's Next Top Model is that the contestants can sneak phone time whenever they want, because they definitely can't. Cycle 20's Dawn Benjamin, one of the most successful contestants to ever grace the show, told BuzzFeed, "We had maybe 5 minutes of phone call time a week, so it was really hard to not be able to talk to nobody, to know what was going on in the regular world. There was no news. We all kept each other pretty entertained."
5 minutes.
Only being able to use your phone for 5 minutes per week doesn't sound all that ideal, but as always, the models made it work. In 2012, there was quite a bit of tabloid drama surrounding some casting decisions on the show, with Page Six reporting, Tyra Banks swung the axe at her longtime America's Next Top Model co-stars Jay Alexander, Jay Manuel, and Nigel Barker yesterday, dismissing 3 of the competition's longest-running personalities in one fell swoop. While the outlet made it sound like there was drama behind the decision, it doesn't seem to actually be the case. Jay Alexander later told Perez Hilton,
"I was never fired, get the record straight. My contract was just not renewed."
Alexander went on to add that he was also not currently afraid of Tyra, as Hilton had seemed to suggest. It would be impossible to discuss modeling without also touching on the rampant eating disorders that have plagued the industry for years. According to the establishment, America's Next Top Model has actually reinforced harmful behaviors.
Ain't nobody got no eating disorder. All y'all skinny because I wanted to.
During Cycle 12, London had been honest in sharing that she struggled with an eating disorder, but was still put through the ringer for her body, allegedly thanks to creative director Jay Manuel.
You can tell me honestly, has she gained a lot of weight?
The outlet reported, when formerly anorexic and bulimic Lauren London Levi put on some weight during Cycle 12, Jay Manuel scolded the 18-year-old for this really shocking development, saying, "It's just clear that you're not taking care of your body. As a model, you're expected to treat your body like a temple." Then the 18-year-old was eliminated.
I literally walked off that stage and I was like, it just hurt me at the time.
As a reality show with a pretty awesome prize for the winners, you might assume that America's Next Top Model is a pretty cushy gig for all the contestants. After all, you get to live in a sweet setup, shoot with legendary photographers, and yeah, star on a TV show. But really, that couldn't be further from the truth. In addition to being isolated from friends and family, dealing with harsh critiques from the judges, and not being able to use a phone, the contestants also have to endure extremely long days while filming the show. As Don Benjamin told BuzzFeed, "Oh my God, we were there for like 13 hours at least every day. We'd get up at 5 in the morning, get home at midnight."
This shoot is definitely the most uncomfortable I've ever been. Not only is my body uncomfortable, but my face is uncomfortable, and I know I'm not performing to the best of my ability.
Shooting the judges panel was also reportedly challenging, with Benjamin adding, "We're up there all day. It's freezing in there. Your legs are shaking because you're like, did I do good? Panel is very stressful." As with most reality shows, America's Next Top Model featured many so-called confessionals, in which the contestants got a chance to speak their mind about the experience. ANTM is no different, but a lot of people assumed that confessionals were optional, which they definitely weren't. In fact, contestants had to do a confessional every single night. Benjamin told BuzzFeed, "I think we did 20 or 30 minutes a night. Everybody."
I know that I belong in this competition. I know that I can be a model. I know that, I deserve this.
Of course, the show didn't air every confessional. Cycle 20's Mike Skakoza explained, "They hardly used any of that footage. I'm sure there's some really good stuff on there. I would get drunk and fall asleep. That's what happens.
If you want it that bad, you better figure it out."
Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more list videos about your favorite celebs are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.